It's time for Homegrown Country with Dylan on your country 95.5 WTVY.
All right, Homegrown Country. We're back at it again. Zack Mannino in the house. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Just enjoying my morning here.
I heard that. What time did you have to get up this morning?
I got up at like 5:15. Yeah, I was on the road before 6. So.
Oh, wow. Drove 150 miles from
roughly
Valdosta, Georgia. Yeah. Right on, man. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, no worries. I enjoy it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Where are you from? How long you been doing it? What's going on in life?
Originally from South Louisiana, about an hour north of New Orleans.
Right on. New Orleans.
Yeah. Grew up there, and then joined the military when I was 19. I did a year of college, and then about halfway through my first semester, realized that wasn't going to be a thing.
Right.
And they didn't have a ship date until the end of the second semester. So I was like, well, I don't want to be in the real world yet.
Right.
So stayed in college and until they could ship me out. And then I did 12 years in the military.
Oh, wow. Thank you for your service.
Oh, no worries. And then around 2019, I decided, I was like, hey, I want to pick up a guitar. I was debating on a guitar or saxophone.
Ooh.
Okay. And so my mom was like, well, I can buy you a guitar for for your birthday. So I was like, okay. So my mom bought my first guitar, and it's a blue quartz.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like a $120 pawn shop guitar or whatever. I still have it. I'll never get rid of it. But yeah, and so I got it in February for my birthday, but I didn't touch it until probably October. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't do anything with it. I was really busy and doing other things. So decided around that time, I was like, well, I'll go ahead and start try to play some chords here and there, and run the guitar. Ruined it. Didn't know what a capo was, so I Googled a capo, and I was like, well, I have a wood clamp.
There you go. That'll work.
I went and got a wood clamp out of my tool shed I had out there, and because I was really into woodworking.
Right.
And I was like, this will work. And little did I know, after about, I don't know, 2 or 3 months of using a wood clamp as a capo, I ruined my neck.
Oh, no.
And but I learned that, but I was like, well, let me go get another guitar. And that's whenever the inspiration really started happening. So
yeah,
just taught myself, had some people here and there give me some ideas on how to do this, or how to play a C chord better, or here's an alternative C chord going from a G to a C, things like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And then had my first gig end of 2020.
Nice.
As a hobby, 2020 to 2021, got stationed up in North Dakota. And I was like, let me see if I can really do this thing. So put my head down. And then by 2022, I was a finalist in a competition, and that opened up some really big doors for me. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to pull the plug and do it full time.
Give it the old college try.
Yeah. So I separated from the military in 2023, and I've been doing it ever since. And
right on.
Yeah. So 2023 to 2024, I did over 150 shows for the physical year, 2024, January to December. Mm-hmm. Did around 184 shows.
Wow.
2025 is now on track to do the same.
Nice.
I've been really, really busy, which I will never complain about. Mainly because I've always asked to be busy.
Right.
It was always the hustle. And now I can actually tell them to say no to shows, which is really hard for me. Really hard.
Same. I've been learning that this year. I am booked right now. I have 2 dates left that I want to book for 2025.
That's amazing.
I'm booked all the way to 2026. And I say that, and people are like, oh my gosh, like you're playing every single day from now to 2026. No.
Yeah.
I did that for the first half of this year.
Correct.
And then I learned to look ahead in my calendar and say, I want to be off this weekend to take care of my personal stuff at home. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I have one weekend every month that I'm at home.
Correct.
to take care of my life. But
Yeah.
the other 3 weekends are booked playing out somewhere.
Oh, for sure. Well, I might have a weekend off or a Friday off,
Right.
but I probably played Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Right.
Right.
I took a vacation this year. I've never done this. Even when I was in the military, I never did this. Where I took like 10 days off.
Oh, wow.
And I went and visited a buddy of mine over in Europe.
Nice.
And I've never done that in my life.
Yeah.
Where I just took leave to do something for me.
Right.
You know, I was either working or I had a reason behind that.
Yeah.
Or what I was doing. Or if it was a vacation, it was like 3 or 4 days.
Right,
it was
right.
never an extensive amount of time.
Yeah.
But I planned that accordingly. You know, I did it during a slow season. You know, the January, February, March time frame is pretty relatively slow for musicians. So I took that time. But then I front-ended a lot of shows on the front of the month.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I took that off, and then I had a boatload of shows afterwards.
Right.
I literally landed off the plane on like a Monday, and then I had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday booked.
Oh, God.
For like as soon as I had that 8-hour flight home and a 3-hour drive back,
right back into
like,
it full steam ahead.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I got to pick up because I feel like a slacker right now.
That's funny. I'm actually in the middle, right smack dab in the middle of an off month.
Sweet.
For myself. So back in February, we had some things change, and wasn't really sure where all my bill money was coming from.
Correct.
You know, I had one of those situations, and I was like, oh crap, I've got to book every single show that I can, because I got bills I got to pay.
Yep.
So I filled my calendar full up through May, really.
Yeah.
And just got through playing all of those. I had 2 weddings the past 2
Those
weekends.
are fun.
I had these weren't ones that I was playing. These were ones that I had to attend.
Gotcha.
And so I had those 2 weekends off, but I was still busy doing stuff for other people, you know, going to the weddings and stuff. And these were weddings I had to travel to. I had to go to North Georgia for. And so I purposefully did not book these next 2 weekends.
Yeah.
Just to give myself a break from going every single weekend, even though, you know, 2 weekends were weddings. I didn't have to play music or anything, but booking all those shows every single weekend. Like I haven't spent any time with my wife in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm in the middle of a sabbatical right this minute, and I'm enjoying it, but I am ready to get back playing.
But you get the itching.
Yeah.
You get the itching.
Yeah. It's been real easy to get burnt out sometimes, but
well, that's one of the things you talk about, prioritizing, right?
Exactly.
That's one of the things with me is I drive home every night, no matter where I'm at.
Yeah, same.
I could be Panama City and have a 4-hour drive and finish at 11. I'm going to get home at, 3 or 4 in the morning. It doesn't matter what night, because I want to see my kids in the morning.
Yep.
Now I might only get to see them and my family. I might only get to see them. Say I go home, go to sleep, and I have to leave at 2, so I might only get to see them for, 3-4 hours total,
right.
But at least I saw them.
Yeah.
And that's a big priority to me, because being in the military, I never was able to bring my kids to school.
Right.
And I never was able to pick them up.
Yeah.
Because of the way my hours worked. So it don't matter where I'm playing at during the week. I could be in, I've done it many times where I've been like in Tampa or Orlando on a Wednesday, and I drive up, get home at 3 or 4 in the morning, alarm goes off at 6, get the kids up, bring them to school,
right,
and then come back and sleep until 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then I'm on the road at 4.
Yeah.
So that's a huge priority to me, and I think that if I didn't do that, I would be burned out a lot more.
Yeah.
Just because I wouldn't be able to visit with them and see them a lot. So it definitely, burnout is real if you don't have the priorities lined up.
Yep. And it's hard to get your priorities in the right order when there's money on the line.
Oh,
sometimes
my wife, I tell her all the time, I was like, okay, for instance, we're planning on doing a beach trip in the middle of June on a weekend, from a Friday to a Monday. And I'm like, do you know how hard it is for me not to get a gig on a Friday or Saturday at the beach and be like, okay, let me take off this time to go play but then my whole day is going to revolve around that gig.
Exactly.
You know, I'm going to constantly be like, okay, we can't go to this place because I have to be back at 4 to shower, to be here by this time to set up and this. And then I'm going to get home super late. And then my kids are going to wake up early because they have bedtimes, you know, and they're going to be like, oh, I want to go to the beach. And I'm like, man, I'm tired. Let me have some coffee.
I just went to sleep.
Yeah. So it's like, it is so hard for me to do both things. It's hard for me not to reach out and try to get gigs. But it's also hard for me to prioritize my family because of the money. I'm like, I need that money per se.
If I could play this gig, we could go have a real good time.
Correct. Correct. You know, we did that whole thing with a Disney thing one time where I did a show outside of Orlando, and I'll never do that again.
Really?
Where the night before going to Disney, I got home at 4 a.m.
Oof.
And then had to be awake to go do a full day of Disney at 9, like be at Disney at 9. And I'm like, this is the worst decision I ever made. But that gig paid for that whole trip.
Right.
You know, so it's like, was it worth it? Yeah, my kids had a good time, but man, I hated my life.
Killed myself for a day at Disney. Yeah.
I hated myself. I was like, I'll never do that again.
Golly, yeah, I can imagine. Dang. Yeah, that's tough right there. The coming home late and then having things to do the next day is tough. But you know what? We're sitting here, we're talking about like how tough what we do is. I've watched a lot of podcasts lately. I watch a ton of podcasts, but with big name musicians, and I have said more than once that I was going to go back and cut these parts out and make content out of them. Because it's Morgan Wallen was on Theo Von recently.
I watched it,
and did you watch the part where he was talking about the length of shows that he plays
now?
Yeah, so like he talks about, you know, going out there and doing a half hour or a hour.
Like, I'm not going to do more than 2 hours.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to play for that long. I don't want to play for 2 hours. I don't want to play for 3 hours, and I want to cut that out so bad.
Yeah,
and point out to people that like this is a dude that you idolize, and he's talking about how tough and how hard it is. Don't get me wrong,
it's totally different.
Don't get me wrong, he's
as a solo versus
right.
Like
I was like, don't get me wrong, he is coming out there and he's running and jumping all over the stage. And granted, we're sitting on a stool or standing in front of a microphone, but he doesn't want to come out there and play for more than an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours max, and he's give out. He's wore out. He's wore slap out. And then I think about us. And I'm like, bro, I hauled every bit of PA equipment into this place, set it all up, plugged it all in. And then I'm sitting here and I'm playing for 3 hours straight. I'm playing all Morgan Wallen songs. And a bunch of other songs that everybody likes too. And but yet it's hard to sell a ticket, you know.
But I've only done one ticketed event and I was stressed, dude.
Yeah,
so stressed. And that was a stress I never knew was possible,
right?
Because I'm checking that 2 or 3 times a day.
Like
it's so bad whenever I get into that headspace. It's like, instead of just letting it be and doing my thing, and because I would get an email and being like, oh, you sold X amount of tickets today, or you sold this, or somebody just bought this, and I'd be like, oh yes. But then I'd go and I'd be like, oh, well, I might have sold 20 tickets, but I still got 30 I got to sell.
Right. Yeah. I'm only not even halfway there.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a failed event. And then it's, well, if it's a failed event, then am I going to be able to recover from that? And will they even have me back to do a normal, like all my,
will I have an option to give it a second try?
Yes. I mean, I spiral so bad with that. That's probably one of the biggest things is I overthink so much.
Same. Yeah.
So much.
I get that.
I mean, even today, I stayed up all night. I was already a fan of the podcast, but this week I rewatched all the podcasts.
Yeah. Thank you.
And no worries. So I rewatched them because I wanted to be prepared. And then I was like, okay, well, what if he asked this question? What if he asked that? So I was trying to prepare everything it was. And then I was laying in bed last night and I was like, what is something that he might ask off the wall that I need to be prepared? Like I'm interviewing myself in the middle of the night and laying in bed and I'm interviewing myself and I'm like overthinking everything.
That's hilarious.
But that's how I get comfortable.
Right.
Because I want to have
you're confident when you know what you're walking into.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't want to ever be taken off guard to where I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
And so I try to plan for every scenario that you could have possibly asked me.
Yeah.
Any kind of question you could possibly ask me, so that if you do ask me something that would I wouldn't have an answer for.
Right.
I would be able to still have an answer because I thought of it last night, or I thought of it this week while driving, or I overthink everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, that's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes, for sure, because you're definitely I'll say this, having done these interviews, you can tell the artists which we kind of talked about this earlier while we were on the radio. You can tell the artists that are prepared, and then the artists that are just like, I guess, just waiting for somebody to find them, or like, they're not putting the work in.
Correct.
And let me tell you, don't get me wrong, you can get Zach Bryan, you can post a video on TikTok and then be an international superstar. That happens to like 1 out of a million jillion people.
You want to know somebody that I respect? I'm jealous of, but I respect highly, is Bailey Zimmerman.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm jealous because of how he up and came.
Right.
But I respect him by the people that he listened to. Yeah. Because he got so much criticism.
Oh yeah.
When he first came out, because he didn't know how to sing.
Yeah.
He never did the 3-hour gigs. He never learned vocal control.
Made a set list.
Never made a set list. He never did any of this. So when he would go out and do Rockin' a Hard Place or whatever his first song was, he would go out there and do 100% every show. So by the third show that week, he sounded like crap.
Yeah, he was give out.
And no offense to him, because he didn't know that.
Right. Yeah.
And then people on social media were just berating him.
Yep.
He sounds like trash live. He sounds like this live. But I respect him for the fact that whoever it was that he listened to that was around him, he was able to overcome that.
He dialed in on it.
He dialed in on it. He got into the vocal lessons. He got into how to breathe properly, because he's a very high energetic person.
Yeah.
So when he's on the stage, he's constantly running. So he had to learn how to do breath control and how to do this and do that. And so as jealous as I am of him for that one video that went viral over something that he wasn't even trying to do.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he built trucks or whatever. Yeah. His whole social media was about building trucks. And a friend wrote a song, was like, hey, you should sing this song. And this is a story that I think I heard about it or whatever.
Right.
So I'm very jealous that somebody that's not even in the music scene
can just break into
it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I respect him highly by taking that opportunity. And instead of being like a big head, oh, I'm just, whatever, he was able to learn and then still build on whatever success he had at the very beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely did do it a good way. And like you said, he had some trouble coming out up front, but he's got the right people around him now. It seems like he's doing good. Breaking out on TikTok like that is crazy. And I don't understand it sometimes. And to be honest with you, I feel like I let myself get more frustrated than I should over social media sometimes. The other day, perfect example, I was scrolling TikTok, and there's a ton of artists on TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok Live too. And there was a guy playing a song. I forget what the song was, but everybody knows it. It could have been like Hurricane by Band of Heathens or something like that. But he was singing that song, and he was singing it about half as good as anybody I know.
Correct.
Anybody. He was doing a very mediocre job at singing this song. 300 people watching him. I went to his page and I was like, well, maybe he's got 15,000 followers or something.
This is gonna make
1,000 followers.
Yeah.
He's got 300 people watching him do not that good. And I'm like, I've scrolled past 15 other artists.
Oh, for sure.
That are killing it.
Yeah.
With 10,000+ followers on their page. And they have 15 people watching them.
50 at the max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does it work?
Yeah.
How does it work? This guy's literally out here doing a not good job, and he has all the followers. And I just scrolled past other people playing live with more followers doing way better.
Absolutely.
With nobody watching. I just don't get it sometimes. I don't either. And that, honestly, that right there made me just turn TikTok off.
Well,
I was like, I'm done with it.
I'll tell you what got in my head the most here recently is the analytics on Facebook.
Yeah.
You have the professional profile or whatever, and you can see how many views you have for the week or the month or whatever. That gets in my head so much because I'm a goal-oriented person.
Right. Yeah.
So I keep my goals, my yearly goals and my professional goals on my screen, on my phone 24/7, constantly looking at my goals. I'm trying to reach for my goals, doing this. And so I have a goal that I have every month that I want to hit on views or streams or whatever.
Right.
But man, you have a bad day and you're like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, so my goal, and I'll be honest with the viewers or whatever, like my goal is 2,500 views on my social media a day on just Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll sit there and I'll post something and I'll get a reel and I'll only get like 300 views on it. And I'm like, 300 views and 5 likes. And I'm like, what?
I worked hours on this piece of content.
I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But then I'll post a picture and I'll get 1,500 views on that one picture.
Yeah.
And like 60 likes or so many shares. And I'm like, what's the difference? Like, why does the picture go further than the video? So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to flop it. I'm going to post more pictures than reels. And then my pictures that go down and I'll have a reel that hits like 11 or 1,200 views. I'm like,
come on now. Yeah.
What is going on? So like, I get so frustrated because I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this working today, but then tomorrow it's not working? Or why did this work really good? And I had, say, for instance, like 11,000 views this week on my social media. And I recreate that same thing that I did last week, but I got 5,200. And I'm midweek, I'm on Wednesday, and I'm like, do I stay consistent and continue what I did last week that worked, even though it hasn't worked yet this week? Or do I just throw it out the window and say, okay, I'm going to flip it and try to do something new?
Yeah.
The whole social media aspect of music is probably the hardest thing to do. I would rather write 50 songs a week,
bro,
or do some demos or do anything like that than the social media side, because it gets so much in my head.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it and I can't figure it out. So I feel like a failure.
Yeah. Everybody's like, you have to be consistent on social media. You have to be consistent on social media. Well, I can be consistent on social media, but can social media be consistent for me? That's the honest. Let's figure out what works, and I can do that.
Yeah, like, that's the most honest statement about social media I can ever say. Be consistent. Well, I am consistent.
Yeah,
you be consistent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where's all my likes? One of my most viral video on my TikTok, I think, is a video of me cutting my grass before a tornado.
That's dope.
And I literally I was just cutting grass, and I said, trying to make sure my yard looks good before this tornado destroys my double wide. And more views than any song I've ever sung. And I'm like, dude, well, should I turn that into a song?
Dude, I will tell you though, I get so stuck on pressure washing and lawn care.
Yeah.
And like these people that are transforming their backyards.
Yes.
Like I'm on a thing right now. There's a guy on TikTok right now he goes, ChatGPT told me my backyard should look like this.
Oh yeah.
And it did an outline of his backyard.
Yep.
And so he's doing it day by day, and he's in Ireland or Scotland. And I'm sitting here every night.
Yeah.
Because I have him as one of my go-to guys.
Right.
So every night I'm swiping through to see if he posted a new video.
Right. What's his yard look like today?
Yeah, I'm invested. I'm 22 videos in, and he's barely got gravel.
Right. Yeah.
He's barely got gravel because he had to flatten out his whole yard. So he had to buy a ton of sand. So then he got that leveler or whatever, rake or that TikTok rake or whatever. So he's doing that. Then he was like, well, now I want to do the rock bed on the side. So he's outlining the whole thing with rock bed. And I guess he doesn't know what a DeWalt drill is, because he's over here trying to hammer and nail. And then he decides, the last like 7 boards, he went and bought a DeWalt drill. And I'm like,
my gosh,
you had 7 boards left.
Bro,
like, why? What?
That's like 14 nails.
nail it at this point. Why'd you spend the $80 on a DeWalt when you could just nail it? Like, you've been doing, be consistent.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, he just started putting all the rocks, the white rocks, and he goes, and then he was like, somebody said to spray it with the glue.
Oh yeah.
So that it doesn't move out of place. And he's like, whoever decided this was genius. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. And so I'm invested in that.
Right.
Why? I have no idea.
No clue.
No idea. But I'm invested in like backyard renovations or the pressure washing, the lawn stuff. Like I'm invested 100% in that.
Lately I've been stuck on homestead TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Because I've hit that point in my life again where I'm like, I just want to become a hermit and play music and not go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Have you got chickens yet?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Just did this spring.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We had that whole farm thing going before we had to move to North Dakota. We had like 2 or 3 dozen chickens, ducks, goats, pigs, chickens, rabbits, horses.
Right.
We had it all.
Yeah.
No, I miss my chickens. I miss my chickens and my ducks.
Yeah.
A lot. So I can't wait to get them things back once we move here to Alabama here this summer. I'm excited to get my chickens.
I'm excited about the ones we got. I actually bought turkeys first.
Oh.
Just on a whim. So actually my bass player had 3 ducks that were like pet yard ducks.
Yeah.
It's a mallard, a green-headed mallard, and 2 white duck, like the Aflac ducks. And he's like, we're getting rid of them. We're getting out of the duck business. And I was like, well, I have 2 ponds on my property. Yeah. I've got a 1/2 acre pond and a 1/4 acre pond. And I was like, just bring them over to the house. So we pinned them up and gave them what's that called? Stockholm syndrome,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And then they've been out for a couple weeks on the ponds, and they're just the happiest little guys.
Oh yeah.
But we got the ducks, and I was like, I want more birds.
Yeah.
And so went by Rural King on the way home, and picked up 2 turkeys. And so now they're like dogs, man.
Yeah.
Turkeys are like the dogs of the bird world. And they like just follow you around, just want to be next to you. They're crazy. But yeah, we got a big white turkey and a bourbon red turkey.
So they're like a year.
No, they're literally like probably a month, 2 months old.
So they're still,
but they're they're still.
So
like,
they haven't filled out. They got
they're just now getting all of their real feathers.
Nice. Nice.
But they're cool, man.
Oh,
they're
dude,
cool.
Birds are amazing.
I'm loving the homestead thing.
My kids, we go out to a buddy's of my farm out in Quitman, and every year during like before Thanksgiving or whatever, they get a whole bunch of birds, a whole bunch of turkeys that they raise, and then they sell. But we'll go out there on the 4-wheeler, and you can sit out there and go,
yeah,
and they just start talking to you.
Yeah,
they'll do that for hours.
They will,
and
man.
My kids go nuts.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Nuts.
Yeah, my wife thinks it's really cool because they're down there by the pond at our house, which is like, I don't know, maybe 100 yards from the house. And we can step out the back door and just yep. And they'll just talk right back, and they're so cool, man.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a goal of mine. Definitely, because that piece, the piece that you get out there, whenever you're able to like sit down and drink your coffee, and you have a bunch of land, you don't have house on top of house on top of house.
Just enjoy it,
dude, man. Like that's the piece that helps me a lot. And that's what I search for a lot. Yeah. And so that definitely helps me, and my kids being able to go run around and not have to worry about if there's cars, or not have to worry about if there's neighbors mad, or they can be loud as they want. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, no, I miss that. I'm definitely ready for that again, for sure.
Ready to slow things down and plant some roots. Feel like it's just feel like it's good songwriting atmosphere. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you're comfortable. It goes back to being comfortable.
Yeah.
You're comfortable, you're relaxed. You're not feeling where you have to perform, kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah.
And if you want to take a break, you want to have another cup of coffee, or you want to grab a beer, or you want to grab this, you feel welcome to do that.
Yeah.
And then the people that you have around you, obviously, it's got a big influence on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to collect eggs and write music for a living.
If I could get a pub deal, I'd sold.
Yeah.
Sold.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking about writing music, tell me about what's the first song that you ever wrote?
So the first song I ever wrote was called "You're the Girl."
Okay. I'm a guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I wrote it. You know what? I might have the lyrics in my phone, but it basically comes back down being like, "You're the girl I want to be with forever," essentially.
Right.
But it's like the old country sound.
Yeah.
But it's like, "You're the girl I want to hold forever. You're the girl I want to have for all time. You're the co-pilot in my pickup truck when I cross them county lines."
Right. I got you.
Like,
yeah.
Like, I want to have you forever,
right.
And then it was like, you're my muse, you're this, you're that. And I never wrote a song before. And so, but I've always parodied songs.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Growing up, if it was like in my church, because I sang a lot in church. It was like the old rugged cross, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There was a parody that rewrote. It was like, on a hill far away stood an old Chevrolet.
Oh yeah, okay.
It was like, on a hill far away stood an old Chevrolet whose tires were as flat as a board. Had a hole in a tank. The old thing wouldn't crank, but I'll trade it someday for a Ford. You know, it's
nice.
It was like parodies like that. Like I grew up singing those things and people around me making fun of stuff. And but I never wrote one, honestly. So I was just picking around, and I was like, oh, it was E and A, E and A, E and A, and then like an EAD, you know, something like that. And it worked out. And I was like, oh, this is a cool song. And I played it out a few times, and people were like, oh, yeah, that's good. And then I had some buddies, you know, give me some critiques, and I've changed some things here and there. And I was like, oh, this is actually something that's could be cool.
Yeah.
And that's just how this snowball started rolling.
Right on.
It was from like that kind of aspect of things.
So when you go into writing a song, do you start with like lyrics or a melody? Like how does a song start for you? Or is it
usually
different every
a concept?
Time? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It could be a line, it could be a title.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever it is that I'm trying to do, I try to build a story.
Right.
I'm a big storyteller.
Yeah.
And if you listen to most of my songs are a story from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 1 would be describing the first half of the story, then I have my chorus, and then the story progresses and stuff like that. So usually I try to build the story logically,
right,
and then add lyrics to that story. You know, what am I trying to say? Yeah.
So you come up with the whole idea of what you're trying to get across, and then fill the lyrics in with the details, kind of.
Yeah. And then sometimes, you know, as the song progresses, I was like, okay, let's stick, you know, verse 1 and say, okay, I met a girl, verse 1. Then it's going to be chorus, we are this love, you know, whatever. And it's like verse 2, now we're married and have kids,
right?
You know, whatever the layout. But then I'm like, well, let's just stay in that honeymoon dating phase.
Right.
So as I'm writing the song, I'm not ever concreted on an idea or this is where it's going to be.
It could change by the end.
Oh,
yeah.
And that's one thing that I like when I bring up songs and I'm co-writing. I'm like, guys, I was like, don't force it if it ain't there.
Yeah.
You know, if the song's naturally not going there and you're wanting to add more about the first verse or whatever, just let it flow.
Yeah.
And get that written down and keep going. And if you want to make a couple changes, then it can happen, but don't force it if it ain't there. Cause then everybody gets writer's block. Right. And stuff like that. So
yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. That's what I was going to ask you next was writing solo or co-writing. What do you prefer? What have you done most?
I prefer co-writing.
Yeah.
A lot.
Having a different set of
different
minds on it.
Unless it's just a really specific,
like a personal
song. Number one fan.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for any help on that. I didn't send it out to anybody asking for suggestions. I wrote that song top to bottom, and I probably spent 3 months writing it. I wrote it, had the foundation of it. I'd play it out. Oh, I like this lyric better, or I like this lyric better, or I'd play around with it, playing it live, looking at people's reactions and things like that. That was a very sentimental song to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say I'm not open to suggestions, but I'm very closed on to that, where I'm pretty locked down. This is a very special song to me.
Right.
But on the flip side, I can have a topic or a situation with me that I'll be like, hey guys, this is currently going on in my life, or this is a topic that it's pretty sentimental to me, but I want help writing it because I am too close to the situation.
Yeah.
Like I just recorded a song yesterday called Put a Log on the Fire. So I thought it originally as a duet. A guy comes in from work. This is going back to not being concreted on your idea. So I had a guy coming in from work talking about how he had a shit day at work, and he's coming in and he just wants to lay there with his girl, put a log on the fire, have a glass of whiskey. Let's have some alone time. Let's cut everything out.
Right.
Then the second verse in my mind was going to be the lady coming in and being like, she had a bad day. The kids were this, the kids were that. I want a glass of wine. I want a shower. I want a hot bath, or I want a massage, or I want this. But at the end of the night, I want to lay on the couch and cuddle with you. Right. I just want to be intimate. I want to be held and whatever. So I was having trouble with the girl verse. 2 reasons. I'm not a girl. Yeah. So I can't write from a girl perspective. I can put my thinks of what a girl is going to think about, but it's not the right. So I brought it up to a group of people, and a girl was actually in the right. And she goes, I don't think that you should have a duet with it. I think you need to tell her what she needs to do, or you acknowledge how her day was. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I know you had a hard day. I know the kids gave you hell. You were up all night last night. Right. You didn't get a bit of sleep. They didn't take a nap. Why don't I, as the husband, I'm home now. Put that weight on me. And that's one of the lines is, I'm home now. Put that weight on me. Yeah. Let me go pour you a glass of wine. Go take you a hot bath. Let me go put the kids to bed. Let me do all that. You go relax. And then it's like, go put on that gown I like and come lay with me on the couch. And we're going to put another log on the fire. Meaning we're just going to lay there. We're going to hold each other. We both had a really bad day, but let me help you. Yeah. Because from a woman's perspective, I guess that's what she was saying. It's like, we don't want to tell you how bad our day was. We just want you
to know already and understand.
Like understand that you know I was up all night as a woman with the kids or whatever. And I texted you like the kids are not having a good day or whatever. So you know this walking in the door. So take care of me. Yeah. And I was like, I would have never thought of that. Yeah. So let me take care of you. Let me pour you a glass of wine. Draw your bath, get that hot bath going. I'm gonna bring you a glass of wine, and then I'm gonna take care of everything else right now. Put that weight on me, so that I was like, oh, that makes more sense, because I would have never thought of that as a guy. Right. You know,
that's good, man. It's good to have another set of eyes like that, and a different opinion from a different walk of life too. Having a girl on it, that's cool. That's cool. Heck yeah, dude. So you're full-time music.
Full-time music. Yeah. I've been doing it now since summer 23.
Right on, dude. That's cool. And you're successful at it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I was like, you know, I've been able to pay all my bills and put some money in the savings account, and I've been able to take a couple vacations, you know, a weekend here, a weekend there during a week kind of a thing. Yeah. And, I've been very, very fortunate. But I say that, but at the same time, it's like, you got to put the work in. And like, I'm not saying this is by no means easy. I put a lot of miles on my truck, a lot of late nights, a lot of fast food, which sucks. Yeah. And I just learned that I'm not going to go to Taco Bell anymore. Not for the reasons that people think, but they just started this like AI thing at Taco Bell at the drive-thru. So it's not like you go through the drive-thru and usually like, they're like, oh, hi, how's your day? You know, what would you like? Now it's all AI. And they're like, well, and I'm like, I want a number 4 with 2 tacos, meat and cheese only.
And it's like, okay, 4 number 2s, extra tacos.
And I'm like, and I'm like, incorrect. What would you like me to do? Add to the menu. Just subtract from the menu. And I'm like, subtract. And I get so frustrated that I end up like cussing at it. Yeah. And I drive through to the front, and the lady still has the headphone in her ear, and she's busting out laughing.
Oh my god!
And I'm like,
she can hear you fighting with it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not going to Taco Bell no more. Like,
that's crazy. I didn't know they had done that.
Yeah, some of the Taco Bells have done that, and I'm
that's
like,
wild.
I'll never go to that thing because it's so aggravating.
I know when I call somebody and I get an automated thing, I'm the guy that's like, before I hear any of it, I'm pushing 0.
Yes,
trying to get a real person.
Yes,
like,
yes. I don't even know what 0 is on this one, but yes,
you're just screaming at it 0.
Yeah, like I had to call my bank the other day because I got locked out of one of my accounts. And it was like, what's your account number? I was like, I don't know my account number off the top of my head. Yeah. Like, that's a 10-digit number that I will not ever remember. And it was like, you need to enter your account number and push pound. And I'm like, pound. Yeah. And then finally it was like, we do not recognize the account. And I'm like, exactly. Get me to a person.
Yeah. Geez, that's funny. All right, so striking Taco Bell off the pit stop list.
Yeah, that's aggravating, especially if it's like what is the exit like going down to Santa Rosa? It's like the Funkia or
the Funiac.
That one.
Yep.
That
one's
Taco
got
Bell has got it, and I'm like, I'll never do that again.
All right, good to know. Well, sweet, man. That's all right. Yeah, putting that on my list. So give me a top favorite gig that you've ever played, one that sticks out.
So on a big stage, I will say opening up for Joe Nichols in West Virginia. That was super cool. Mainly because of who I had behind me.
Yeah.
So the way I got this gig was this band from West Virginia came to Minot, North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw that they were going to be there, and very rarely does Minot get it really anything outside of the local area. So I was like, oh, who's these people? And so I went out there and I reached and went and started, but they were doing a 4 or 5 day run.
Mm-hmm.
They were there forever. And so I went out every night that I didn't have a gig. And then when I did have a gig, if I was playing like 6 to 9 and they were playing 10 to 2, 10 to 1, I was already out. Family's already asleep. So
Right.
I'd go over there and support them, do whatever. And became really good friends with those people. Well, then they were like, hey, Joe Nichols is coming out here. Would you drive up here and open up and we'll be your background band, backup band? I was like, say less.
Yeah.
And so I did. And that was probably one of the coolest stages as far as with the people that I had.
Right.
Horrible trip.
Oh, yeah.
I had to put brakes on my vehicle. I had my
yeah.
tie rod went out. As an overall trip, I lost so much money.
Yeah.
But it was a fun atmosphere.
The
experience was really cool. The band was really nice. Still to this day, we still send messages and talk to each other and
That's cool.
and stuff like that. And support each other that way, whichever way we can. And one of them now has moved to Nashville, and he's doing the Nashville thing as a musician. He's a hell of a lead guitar player, and he's been on some really cool stages. He got to meet Randy Travis a couple weeks ago, cool. And things like that. So once we get settled over here, and I'm only a few hours away, we'll definitely be hitting each other up and doing things together. We already got them lined up. As far as like overall gig, dude, there was one night at the White Marlin that everything lined up perfect.
Yeah.
It was wild. Wild. And I'm assuming you've played there.
I haven't actually.
You haven't? Okay.
No.
So Port St. Joe, there's a place called White Marlin. So they have a fancy restaurant on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have like a glass wall. They have an oyster bar on this side. And then they have a deck. Mm-hmm. And it's opened up. The deck is more for like walk-ins and stuff like that. The inside's more for like reservations, fancy people.
Right.
And then the oyster bar is just walking in and out. And so I'm playing on this deck, and I'm supposed to play from 6 to 9. So around like 7:30, there's like this bridal shower, that party or whatever show up. They're on their girls' trip or whatever it is before the wedding, and they start letting loose. And so they're having fun. Well, then on the same time, around like 8:15, a guy's birthday, they show up on the patio. There's 100 people on this patio.
Doggone.
And it's getting nuts. Well, I'm supposed to end at 9.
Right, yeah.
So I go up to there, and they're asking for me to play later. But they close at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the guy. I was like, hey, they're asking me to play later. And they're like, well, we'll just keep that little lift open for the bar. So they shut down the restaurant. They shut down the oyster bar. They shut down everything. But they left one bartender there.
Mm-hmm.
They told me I had to leave at 11. I made like $1,200 that night.
Nice.
But it was just everything lined up perfectly. The crowd was great. They were requesting the songs I knew,
right,
which made them
that
happy.
Helps. Yeah,
it helps a lot.
Yeah.
They were dancing. Then I would go take a break. They would line dance. I put on some like line dance music like you would have at a wedding on Spotify. It was just like wedding line dance playlist or whatever. They were line dancing. It was just a crazy night. And
that's
I'm
awesome.
like, I don't think I've ever reenacted that to that level organically before. And I was like, everything just lined up perfect that night. It was wild. It was wild.
I had a show booked at the Haughty Heron down there one time, and this actually wasn't that long ago, and I was feeling like trash the whole day, and I was not looking forward to this gig, and so I mustered up the courage and loaded all my stuff up and was headed down there, just totally dreading I did not want to go that night. I did not feel good at all. And got down there, set up, and started playing. Crowd showed up. By the end of the night, I had played till 12:30.
Yeah.
And
that's a 7 to 10 gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bartender come out and he was like,
done.
like, I want to go home.
Yeah, I'm
and
ready.
I'm like, gotcha. Crowd was there. I ended up playing the last like 15 songs with my shirt off because somebody paid me $200. Like, yeah, man, it was wild. And I left there like, I'm so glad I came.
Yeah. I mean, you're on that high. You're on that
Yeah.
high after shows like that.
Yeah.
That definitely helps when you're driving back.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean that's what a 3-hour drive for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It
Roughly
helps
the
when you're
same.
not like, oh, I only made the bare
Yeah.
minimum. I didn't make no tips.
Yeah.
And you got that 3-hour drive home.
Yeah, that helps for like at least half of it, maybe the 2 hours of the
Right,
drive. You're
yeah.
hyped up, you're
Mhm.
ready, and
Then by the time you get home, you're like, okay,
yeah,
I
now
want to go home and sleep on this stack of money that I just made.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that I consider as a check mark in as a solo artist whenever it comes to those kind of gigs is having to change your tip jar.
Yeah.
How many tip jars have you went through?
I'm on my like from the time I started playing music.
Sure.
I think I'm actually on my second tip jar.
I'm on my second tip jar.
Yeah. Okay.
So my first one was a glass like that I had spray painted with chalk.
Mhm.
And I mean, it was maybe, this big by like this
Coffee
big.
can size.
Yeah.
That's what I started with.
And it got to the point where it was consistently like full. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I need to up my tip jar.
Yeah.
And now I got like this big old not mason jar, but like a big old milking jug
Yeah.
barrel thing. It's like 10. And I found it at a gig I was playing. It was like a bar connected to a flea market.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll walk over there. And I saw this. I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
I paid like $5 for it.
Right on.
And but yeah, I've been doing that, and I've been putting stickers on it and stuff like that.
I got a white 5-gallon bucket.
Nice.
With a
like a Lowe's bucket.
It's actually was a bucket of honey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a honey bucket.
Very cool.
I used to work for a brewery in Campbellton.
Oh, that's where we met.
I used to work at Southern Fields,
Yeah.
and we would get honey for one of our beers that we made. And I just rinsed one out one day and took it home.
Did you put the top and like cut a slit? Or
No, it's just open top.
Nice.
Sometimes I like depending on what the gig is. I've learned that dropping little like square stickers.
Oh, so yeah.
I like put stickers and koozies down in there. I'm
Yep.
like, if you drop a $5 bill in, grab you a sticker or a koozie kind of thing.
Yep.
But you have to be careful with that because there's some people that'll like drop a $5 bill in there and then grab like 5 koozies for their whole table.
Yeah.
So
the way that okay, maybe that's a question for you. How do you run your merch?
So I don't have merch at every show.
Okay.
I did something that I don't know that I would recommend everybody do because it's not really been the best thing for me. But I made a Shopify store.
Okay.
And then like if you scan my QR code at the show to like send me a Venmo tip, you can find that.
Yep.
But nobody really goes to buy t-shirts if they can't just get it right there.
Correct. So I've never dabbled in t-shirts.
Yeah.
All I have is hats.
Okay.
So I have like a strand of hats, and I have one in the truck for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
But my guy, so I get them for about $15. So they're Richardson hats. I have a line of different colors or whatever, but they have a square leather patch with my logo on it, which is like the flag with the guitar on it,
right?
Stuff like that. Then I have the trucker hats that are embroidered with my logo on it. So I get them for $15 a hat. So I sell them for $20. And so I have everything up there. So if everybody, and I tell them, during the shows or whatever, come grab a hat. They're $20. You can follow the QR code that has my Venmo and Cash App. But if you want to drop a 20 in the tip jar, I had a guy the other day drop $15 in the tip jar and was like, Venmo me $5 and was like, here, I want to buy a hat. So Venmo me $5 for the difference. But that has increased.
Yeah.
Dramatically. Just hats.
Okay.
Now, when I do big band stuff,
right,
I'll go buy 200 koozies.
Yeah.
And I throw them out.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if I'm doing a run, like I did a festival and a couple bars, I'll grab like 50 koozies. And I was like, hey, the first 50 beers, put my koozie on it.
Nice. Yeah.
And it has my QR code.
Smart.
And so what I'll do is while I'm on stage, I'd say, hey, put your koozies, put your beers up. Everybody with a koozie, follow that QR code. That has all my social media. Don't pay
Smart.
me anything. Just follow on all my social media.
Yeah.
And since I started doing that at those specific gigs, just this year, because we were talking about me focusing on social media this year, I've gained 1,000 followers in the first quarter.
Wow.
Doing things like that.
That's awesome.
Along with my hats. So I'll do a thing once a night where I'll be like, hey, I'll sell you a hat at $15. The first person that walks up here and shows me that they follow me on social media.
Nice.
So I'm breaking even.
Yeah.
The way that I look at merch, I'm not going to make money right now on merch. As far as I'm not going to make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I'll be happy. My goal is to make a couple $100 at most and break even at
least so you can buy more.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I have a tin can that I have all my merch cash.
Yeah.
And that tin can, once it gets to a certain amount of money, then that tin can then replenishes my next round.
Right. Yeah.
And it pays for itself.
Yeah.
So that's how I run my merch. And I have a lot of people that are on the extreme polar opposites that are like, that's a genius way. And then you should bump that up to 25 or you should bump that to $30 or whatever. I'm like, well, if I'm doing a solo gig and I have hats up there and I have to find a way to break change, I lost.
Yeah, exactly.
I lost.
Yeah.
Because I'm trusting someone to put their hand in my tip jar to pull out the correct amount of change.
Yeah. Never okay.
Never. Or I'm having to stop and take a wad of cash out of my back pocket, which then distracts the show.
Yep.
Shows people, oh well, he doesn't really need the money because he's
got a whole wad of cash. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's
when really I drained my bank account so that I can make change for you.
Correct. Yeah. And so when I got right now, and I have to also be cognizant with myself, I'm not worth a $30 hat.
Right.
Like, let's be real. Like, if a $30 hat, I mean, that's I don't know. That's a Muscadine Bloodline.
Yeah.
That's that level. You know, Morgan Wallen is like a $40, $50 hat.
Right.
Luke Combs, $40, $50 hat. Riley Green's getting to that $40, $50 hat. You think I'm worth that?
Yeah.
Or you and I'm not meaning you personally, but like you as a independent artist that's still playing Mexican restaurants, and I make my living playing Mexican restaurants. You think me as a living making Mexican restaurant is worth a $35 hat?
Yeah.
I have to be real with myself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that would be like, well, I don't sell a bunch of hats. I'm like, well, that's because you're not worth $35 for your merch. You got to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that are like, you're either a genius or you're stupid. And I'm like, well, it's working.
Yeah. Hey.
So I'm
selling
it's working 100
for
hats
you,
a
then
month.
you're doing the right thing. Yeah.
I'm selling 100 hats a month. So come talk to me when you sell 100 hats at whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. When I created my Shopify page, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be great because I can have all these cool designs and I don't ever have to foot the money out to like have all the back stock to sell them at the shows. But then, and I mean, granted, the price is the same as you would really buy it at the show, but I'm making less money off of it because it's online, it's drop ship. And then you're right. I have to think about it. Am I really worth a $26 shirt and then waiting 2 weeks to get it?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. The people have forgot about me after they
saw you that night.
Yeah.
And the next day they're like, oh, who was that?
What
guy?
was that guy's name again?
Who was that guy?
They're not going to wait 2 weeks for a shirt.
They're not even going to go to the Facebook page of the venue that you were at to be like, what's that guy's name again?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You literally have to hand feed people everything.
Yeah.
Make it as easy as possible for them to get what they want.
Correct.
So yeah, I've been on the idea of revamping my online store and figuring that out somewhere different.
Yeah.
But yeah, the part that does suck, you're right though, is t-shirts. And I mean, you go through this with the hats too, but when you're selling 100 a month, it's a little easier. But having to put the money into it and then just sit there with $500 worth of t-shirts.
Yep.
That you're
with hoping and praying.
Yeah. Hoping that they'll sell.
Well, and that's the thing with, so my merch guy, so I try to do everything local. My merch, I could buy the Richardson hats on like online or whatever and get them from $7, $8 a buck or $8 a hat or whatever and have a better margin.
Yeah.
But I have a local guy who's he's a one-man shop. He did all my signs. He did my website. He does my merch and he does everything. Like he's just an overall jack of all trades and he does very, very well on it.
Yeah.
And so why would I take money away from him to make an extra $5?
Yeah.
That to me ain't right.
Right.
And so I'm now supporting him. He's giving me the best deal he can do. And I'm not a guy I'm not going to go in there and be like, can you give it to me for $13?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not going to go across the street to the bigger brand.
Yeah.
And ask, because they'll do whatever it is. I'm like, no, you're my guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're my guy. I'm gonna support you, and I'm gonna do everything I can with you.
Yeah.
If I build, you build.
Right.
That's the way I want it to be.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's people that nickel and dime, and I'm like, it's really not worth it, man. It's not worth the nickel and dime. And whenever you're talking about a business, especially if you can do a local business, do a local business. Now, I'm not gonna say go do a local business if they do crap work.
Right.
But this guy's solid.
Yeah.
And I've recommended him to do a lot of stuff, and he's gotten some good business out of that kind of stuff. But that word of mouth helps us, because that's who we, our word of mouth helps us whenever people talk about us.
Right.
So why would I go and be like, oh yeah, I got this from such and such website, when I could be like, oh, I got this from my boy down the road.
Yeah.
For
sure. That's good. That's good. So if there's one piece of advice that you could give to any other musician that's going to watch this podcast, what would that be? Something to help them out with their...
So the biggest thing that I will say that I have noticed with other people and myself too, is that we're scared of rejection, especially in this career. You're going to reach out and you're going to cold call, you're going to cold email, you're going to cold DM.
Yep.
And you're going to get mad because they didn't, or you can, even now with the DMs, like you can see that they saw the post and then they didn't respond.
Right.
Hey, cool. It might take you 2 or 3 times.
Oh yeah.
Or it might take you to actually go and visit the venue.
Yeah.
Like on a day off that you have, or if it's a restaurant, or if it's whatever, go invest into them.
Yep. That's where I'm at on a couple of my venues. Actually, I've called, I've talked to, I've actually met employees at shows that are like, I'm going to take your information back to my boss. And I'm still trying to play Floribama.
Dude, it's taken me 2 years. I've been drawing into that place for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again, 2 years. And I can't even get an email.
I'm telling you, dude.
I can't even get nothing. I can't get nothing back. But no offense to them, because they're a huge venue.
Who doesn't want to play there?
Who doesn't want to play?
I'm sure they get 100 emails a day.
At least. And so I understand they got to weed through through it. And they probably are like, well, we're already booked for the year. So all these emails coming in June, July, August, September.
They're like, we ain't got no
We
spaces
ain't even looking at them. Right. So I get that too. But at the same time, man, it's on my calendar every month.
Yeah.
To email, to DM, those type of venues, because I'm like, I want them to get so aggravated that they will reach out to me just out of being like, stop emailing me, stop DMing me.
Yeah,
like,
we'll let this guy play here so he'll disappear.
Yes. Like, give me that door, give me that opportunity.
Do you think if we say Floribama enough times on this podcast, it'll organically pop up in there?
Floribama, Floribama. Where's the AI when you need it?
If you're watching.
No, dude. And but yeah, there's venues like that. And sometimes it's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
Or if they do reach out, and again, knowing your worth, right? And that's where I have to keep myself in check, because I have a pretty decent resume for my experience and the years that I've been doing it. A pretty decent resume. But you also got to understand, you're even as good as I am, I'm still not worth a certain amount.
Right. Yeah. There's still a cap.
There's still a cap. So you got to find that sweet line. It's what is best for the venue and what is best for you. Yeah. And then I always tell new artists, you are not going into that venue for yourself.
Oh yeah. No.
You're an employee.
Yeah, exactly. They hired you so that they could sell more beer.
Exactly.
That's why you're there.
Exactly. You're there to keep butts in seats and alcohol being coming in.
Yeah.
So you are not on that stage for yourself. Don't go in there with an attitude, I'm here for me and you can't do this without me. Bull crap.
No, they will sell.
They've been in business a lot longer than you've been doing music.
Yeah, they'll sell beer tonight whether you're there or not.
Correct. Yeah. They can have a karaoke machine. They can have they could put on YouTube with like without the subscriptions, where it just plays those random music playlists. I've seen bars do that.
Yep.
Where they have a projector on a white whatever it's called wall, and they're just playing YouTube,
just music videos, like MTV music video stuff,
and they make a ton of money. They don't need you.
No.
You cannot walk into that venue thinking that you're there for you. You are an employee of them, and if they ask you to do X, Y, and Z, unless it's ridiculous, I haven't ran into many of those. But unless it's something ridiculous, you say yes sir, yes ma'am.
Yeah.
And you do it, because if you put a good taste in their mouth, then you're going to get hired again.
You want to be easy to work with.
Correct.
Because that's why people call you back.
I'll tell you one of the biggest things that I do. So I don't eat and I don't drink at venues.
Yeah.
So I even go up to the bar and say, can I get a pitcher of water? I don't want to, I don't even want to have to walk up to the bar.
Right. Yeah.
To get a glass of water on my break.
Yeah. One thing I hate, the pet peeve of mine, is people that holler for drinks from the stage.
Yes.
Oh God, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do it.
Excuse me, can you grab me a Jack and Coke, please?
Yeah.
Like, that is so unprofessional.
Yeah. If I'm gonna do that for some reason, if I'm not gonna come down from the stage, I'll find somebody that I know.
Yes.
And bring them up over here, and I'll ask for my drink over here.
Yes. Or I'll even ask one of the, if it's a person that's been, or if I know somebody in the crowd,
right,
I'll hand them the pitcher and be like, hey, can you go get me another pitcher?
Right. Yeah.
Like, no, that is so aggravating.
Yeah.
And so you walk in, you get there. I have a very, I don't even fear of something going wrong before I get there. So I'm stupid early for everything.
Right. Yeah.
Stupid
I like
early.
to be early too.
So I'm there an hour and a half early. I buffer time. If I get there, I'm an hour and a half early. If something was to happen, I might get there an hour and 15 minutes early. I'm ready to set up and I'm ready to go 45 minutes early. Yeah. If there's a crowd there, hey, guess what? I'm starting early.
Yeah.
I'm starting early. Why would I do that? Well, you're not getting paid for that per se, but those people that are there already, if you can keep them for another hour, solid. Yep. If you're playing and the crowd is still there and it's the end of your night and you're having a good night or whatever, I'm playing late.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And that little bit of stuff, the bars will understand.
They appreciate that.
They appreciate it. The restaurants appreciate that, because you're not there just to collect a check.
Yeah.
You're there for the venue.
Yep.
So that would be my biggest thing, is checking yourself, knowing your worth. And, I will say there's a lot of talk in the community of musicians, especially where I'm at. They're like, yeah, the people are taking $150 gigs and they're running the music show, right?
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, are they worth more than $150?
Right. Yeah. They may be delivering $150 performance.
That's their level. They're either in the process of growing, because I took those $150 gigs.
Right.
Because I was worth $150. I wasn't worth anything more. So you can't always bash people about that because of that. So know your worth. And then you're not up there for you. You're up there for the venue.
Yep.
And that is the biggest things I can tell any artist, is those two things. And that's two things that I try to harp everybody that I talk to.
Yep. Is
those two things.
Yep. That's good. Yeah. If you're an easy person to work with, then no doubt venues are going to want you back, and they're also going to refer you to other venues.
Exactly.
I have actually, I got a call yesterday about a gig that I was referred to from a sound guy.
That's cool.
So like the guy that ran the sound for the show, my band was so easy to work with because we showed up with our rack box. We had our own in-ear monitors already mixed. You don't have to do anything but run front of house.
Yep.
Like, it was so easy to work with. He starts throwing my name out to other places too. So that's a good bit of advice.
Yeah.
That's a good, and one I don't think we've heard on the Homegrown Country.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But hopefully if you did hear it, hopefully it's said differently.
Yeah. Don't get offended. Take it to heart though.
Yeah.
Be easy to work with.
Yeah.
Well, cool beans, man. You got any new music coming out?
I do. Just recorded yesterday. I was in Ocala yesterday. And I did 3 songs.
Right on.
I'm doing final vocal on them next week.
You got a date on when they're?
I don't have a per se date, but I'm gonna say my next one's gonna come out. What is this month? June?
Yep.
Maybe October, August, June, July, August, September, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I'm expecting, is around that August, September time frame.
Cool.
Yeah, my next song's gonna be. I'm really excited about it. It's called Trailer Made.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So that song. So I don't know if you know this, but me and my family, because we knew South Georgia was not going to be our forever home.
Yeah.
We sold our house last year, and we've been a fifth wheel family.
Okay.
For the last year, over a year now, and so that we could be mobile wherever my wife was able to get a job,
right,
and then wherever I needed to be for music.
Yeah.
Because I knew we both knew that we didn't want to make that our home.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, well, we don't want to be tied down the housing market was kind of iffy.
Right. Yeah.
So as like an opportunity came to come sell our house, we didn't even put it on the market. Someone came and knocked on our door.
Oh, wow.
It was like, my grandpa built that house.
Yeah.
And if you ever decide to sell it, I want to buy it. And so I was like, okay. So I took her number and I talked to my wife. I was like, well, what number would we be happy with? And she's like, this number. And I was like, okay. So I sent her the text message and she said, deal. Like, no
Dang.
negotiating, no nothing. And I was like, okay, so I guess this is what we're doing now.
Well, our house is sold.
So 6 months later, the house is sold and we're in a camper.
Nice.
But yeah, so this song Trailer Made, and it's just all the stereotypes of like living in a trailer park.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
yeah,
Can't wait to hear that one.
I'm
It's gonna be
excited
a good
about it.
one.
It's very, very like a beachy kind of.
Yeah. Well, heck yeah, dude. That's exciting. So tell everybody where and we'll link your social media down below in the link, but tell everybody where they can find you at and where they can see where you're going to be playing.
Yeah, so all my social media is Zack Mannino, ZackMannino. You can find me on all the social media that way. I always have my monthly calendar pinned at the very top. So on Facebook, Instagram, that kind of stuff. My monthly calendar is always pinned, and then I do weekly and daily posts of where I'm going to be playing that week.
Right on.
And things like that. So yeah,
good
absolutely.
deal, man. Well, we'll drop a link in the description down below, and then also it's pinned at the top of the 95.5 WTVY Facebook
Appreciate
page.
it, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming in, Zach.
Yes, sir. Thanks for
appreciate
having me.
it, man.